of children are tuning into that every day. I don't mean children young, I mean children 40, children 50, children 30, children 60. Here's where you have to go to previous lectures to understand what we're talking about. We're talking about the evolution of consciousness, the embryos, the fetuses, the postnatal trauma, and the teaching masters, of which you are all teaching masters. Beta. When you're driving your car, do not be in deep meditation. As a matter of fact, when CDs used to exist, you would buy a CD, a meditation CD. It would always have a label on it. It would say, "Do not listen while operating a vehicle." Huh? Do not listen to this while you're operating a vehicle, because it will put you into a dream time mode. And you'll enjoy the red light as much as the green light. Such a beautiful shade of red. But you must set up at least 2.5 hours of every day when you come into the alpha theta state. The alpha theta state is when you open the brain frame. Now the brain receives information in frames and then stores that information in the brain in frames. And it captures that information, and as I was saying earlier, if you're deeply relaxed in the alpha state, or if you're really, really into, if you've been meditating for 20, 30 years, we can go into the theta state, which is dream time, while remaining conscious. If you're striving to enter that, you will find yourself doing what we yogis call the nod. The nod is when you're meditating and you begin to go like this. You begin to nod. And what it means is that you're going into that border territory between being conscious and being unconscious. Your brain has gone down into the theta rate, which is absorbing so much information. You will find so many times people, look around, every once in a while I'm talking, you will hear people. Because there's so much information coming through that it puts you to sleep. It's like signal overwhelm. Signal overwhelm. I used to sit right here. Yogi Bhajan was teaching right here. I'd sit there and your eyes start going dreaming. You start feeling like you're just in a dream zone because the information. And when I would come out of class, people on the outside would say, "So what did he say?" And I'd say, "I have no idea." But I was absorbing everything. You go into these states not to be intellectual, not to go, "Oh, he said that, that must mean this." Oh, blah, blah. The stuff is coming so fast that your brain has to shut down. Same thing that happens when we play the gong. Information and overtone overload. You go into this state, your brain starts to register these expanded, it's why we call it expanding consciousness. You expand the frames and you store these massively rich frames into the brain. Massive rich frames. Not to intellectually analyze, but to know that you know. If you take a book and you look at a page, turn it, 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 look at a page, turn it. Have you seen every page? Has the light from the page entered your eyes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Therefore, the symbols on that page, letters, numbers, whatever it is, have entered through your eyes, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
So that which has entered through your eyes has registered in your optical cortex, correct? in the occipital lobes. Yes?
Yes.
It's there then, isn't it? So why can't you read that fast? You can. The component is called recall. How do you recall that information? By going into this state, which is a state, didn't we call this state up here anxious and insecure? This state here is in total trust. So knowing comes from total trust. Trust has no object, but trust is a state of being. Faith has no object, but faith is a state of being. So in a state of faith and trust, you can recall information. You can recall information that you take off a page. You can recall information that you take from your observation. And because the amount of information is so much larger than the moment, you're getting these multiple dots which produce direction. Remember I touched on that a moment ago? You get more than one dot, you've got direction. Direction represents inclination. Inclination can not only tell you where it's going, but it can tell you where it's come from. This is intuition. This is the psychic ability. To operate in that world, you must visit that world on occasion, often.
Anyway.
Like, it'd be good to do it daily, but not while you're driving. So it's a time that you set aside that is so sacred because your life is so sacred. Do not be a two-legged creature that's just responding to economic challenge or just responding to emotional challenge. Be a two-legged creature that's carrying around the most profound computing system that we know. Well, there may be greater ones, but we know this one is awesome. This neurobiological computing system is phenomenal.